Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and days of auld lang syne? For auld lang syne, my dear, for auld lang syne, we'll tak a cup o' kindness yet, for auld lang syne. I would say good morning, but it is afternoon. So good afternoon. It is January 1st of 2026. And let me start by saying Happy New Year. And that I genuinely hope and pray that this is a happier year than the last. That this year is kind to you in ways that perhaps the last year wasn't. That you can set realistic goals and expectations, not just now for a New Year's resolution, but just for the year in general, and just as it goes along. That you take care of yourself this year, that you're kinder to yourself this year, and that it's just better than whatever your 2025 was. Like, even if your 2025 was great and phenomenal, I hope 2026 is even better than that. Sorry, I'm kind of tired. I mean, like last night was New Year's Eve, so we just had a lot of people over, was up very late. I did some drinking, because here's the thing, I don't drink a lot. I am someone who, number one, I don't like the taste of alcohol. So for me, I'm like, why would I do something that I don't like? Like, this is a weird analogy, but it makes sense to me. It's like bowling. And I bring that up because last weekend, it was like last week, Saturday, my friends were planning this thing because one friend of ours was in town for the first time since last year around this time. So we always make sure to hang out with him, spend a lot of time with him, and we went to a place in the city that was like a big arcade. Like, there's bowling, there's axe throwing, there's like go-karts, laser tag. I was like, what's the other thing? And then, all these like arcade machines and whatnot. And a lot of my friends are like, oh, we really want to go because we can pay like $20 for unlimited bowling for an hour, or it's like I think it was $20 for an hour, but you can play as many games as you want in that time. And I'm like, okay. So I don't like bowling. Like, I actively never have fun when I'm bowling. Because for me, what is going to happen every time is I'm going to bowl and I'm gonna hit the gutter. Because I'm just really, really bad at this. And for like the first couple rounds, I'm gonna be like, yeah, like, I suck, it's funny, it's whatever, I'm with my friends, and then I'm just gonna start getting frustrated. And then it's just, like, I'm gonna be mad and clearly not having fun, and then someone is probably gonna bring up, like, I mean, you can, like, put up the rails, and I'm like, but I don't want to put up the rails because no one else is using the rails, and if the only way I can, like, function doing this activity is with a severe handicap, it's just going to make me not have fun even more, because that's just the one thing I'm going to be focused on. So why would I want to go spend $20 to do an unlimited amount of something I already don't like? So I didn't bowl. Like, I still went with my friends. I was like, cool, I'm not going to pay $20 to bowl, because it was like free admission, and it's like, you just kind of got to pay to do the things you want. I'm like, cool, y'all do that. I'm just going to sit in my corner and write on my phone. It was impeccable. Because I got to be around my friends, which is what I wanted. I got to not bowl, which is what I wanted, and I got to write, which is what I wanted. I'm like, why don't I just do this more? It's like, okay, guys, I want to be around y'all, but I don't give a shit about this activity. I am not going to stop you from doing it. I want y'all to do it. Like, have your fun. I'm going to have my fun, like, right here in my corner, but still, like, with you guys. Like, wait a second, this whole parallel play thing kind of fucks. I should do this more. But, getting back to my point about drinking, for me, it's a lot like bowling. I'm like, I don't like this, but for different reasons. Like, yeah, I don't like the taste of alcohol, so why am I gonna drink something that doesn't taste good? Why am I going to pay money for something that I don't think is very good? But generally, I kind of make an exception for New Year's. Like, this is the one night of the year where I'll be like, all right, guys, I will drink. I will, like, take shots with you guys, blah, 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 blah. It is the one time where I say, if I get sloshed, I get sloshed. And, like, I didn't. I did some drink. I took, like, a few shots, but, like, I wasn't drunk. I wasn't or anything like that. I was fine. I'm just really tired. Like, Clay asked me this morning, he's like, are you hungover? I'm like, no, I'm just tired. You're out to, like, gosh, I don't know when people left. Like 2:30-ish, maybe a little later than that. Like, I say this with all due respect, because I love my friends. I kind of hit that point where I'm like, I think I just want to go to bed, and I just want people to leave. But this is a big holiday. Like, I'm not going to cause, like, a big stink, because today is a big holiday. Like, that's fine. But I've kind of hit my checking out point. And there were definitely a few times in the night I'm like, I am just kind of going into my corner. I'm just going to lay down, just, like, have a few moments to myself. Relax. Get away from all the noise. Cool. I have recharged. I can rejoin the group. It was lovely. Okay, sorry. Trying to figure out, like, all the different kind of stuff I want to say. Like I said, I'm just tired. But when I look back on 2025, on my 2025, it was... Here, let me say it a bit differently. I feel like the last few years of my life have kind of had themes to them. Almost, maybe lesson isn't quite the right word, but almost kind of, either like, here's kind of the lesson or the vibe. Like 2021. I don't know if there was really a lesson in 2021, but I refer to it as like the worst year of my life. It was bad. I was not in a good place kind of the entire year. There were some incredible things that happened. I played Muv-Luv. I guess it's more like I read Muv-Luv. It's not like a game. It's a visual novel. It's a VN where you just kind of read and make choices. But Muv-Luv is one of my favorite works of fiction. Like, I don't have like a master list. Like, these are my like 50 greatest works of art of all time. I almost kind of want to make it, but I don't. Cause I'm like, there's some things that should be on there. I guess I'll say this. Like, if I did a top 50, I could probably put all the things I want on there. But if I wanted to make like a top 10, there are some things I'm like, I don't know how I would fit Spirited Away on that. But I also have no idea like how I could leave Spirited Away off that list. Like, I have a lot of things that are in that kind of vibe. I'm like, look, man, Muv-Luv's got to be in the top 5. I say that genuinely. I know I'm kind of gritting when I say it, but like genuinely no bullshit. That is how impeccable Muv-Luv Alternative is. Not to say that Extra's bad, not to say that Unlimited is bad, but everything came together so like powerfully while reading through Alternative. And there's a moment in that game that, like, I can't talk about that scene without crying. And what I love about it is it's, like, if you've read Alternative, you probably wouldn't even guess what scene it was. Because it's not like this really big emotional scene. It's not one where, like, For You Who Departs is playing in the background. And fuck, I love that song. Like, oh gosh, it destroys my soul. It's perfect. It is, to go as non-spoilery as possible, because I don't feel like doing, like, a whole Muv-Love thing. I don't want to do a full talk about the scenes. I don't want to start crying right now. It's before Operation Cherry Blossom. It's not the big speech before Operation Cherry Blossom. Although, yes, I have cried at that scene. And it's probably actually, it's not the exact part you would think it is. It's when those three idiots salute. Like, seeing that is actually made me cry. But it's the conversation that Shirogane and Suzumiya have in front of the tree. That is the scene from Muv-Love that always makes me cry. And I can already, like, my eye is already, like, wet, like, talking about it and thinking about that moment. But, like, it has a moment like that. And that's what makes me go, on top of everything else that makes Muv-Love phenomenal, this is one of my favorite pieces of art, because it left such, like, a lingering impact. That's good shit. Also in 2021, I played through most of the Trails series. Also something that left a profound lingering impact. I can't wait to play Kai finally in like 3 weeks. I can't wait to play the SC remake, and I am going to hate it because I'm going to have to play it on Nightmare, and it's going to be a nightmare. Because Sky 1's remake on Nightmare, like, there was some shit in that game. Like, why? This is so hard. And playing a big, oh gosh, dude, base SC on hard is brutal. I don't want to play it on Nightmare, but I know I gotta try, and I know I'm gonna, like, do it and keep banging my head against the wall until I dent it. But, I'm excited for that. But the rest of 2021 was fucking terrible. It just, like, continuously broke me and made me feel broken, to the point where I don't know how I survived it, but it wasn't by choice, to put it like that. And the vibe of 2022 was, that was awful. How do I make this not awful? Like, what are steps I can take, like, to find joy again, and to want to continue living my life? And maybe I'll find out that I don't want to continue living my life, and I will address that as need be. But by the end of that year, I was like, I have, like, just done things, like, that was not meant in, like, any kind of euphemism kind of way. It was just, like, a general placeholder for, like, yeah, like, there was just, like, stuff I wanted to do, where I'm like, basically, like, I will indulge myself a little bit to see if it kind of gives me, like, a lust for life, or, like, a zeal, I don't know if that's the right word, but just to kind of, like, enjoy shit more. And I'm going to try to, like, put myself out there more. I'm going to make sure I really work on a lot of projects that I have to see, like, how do I feel about that. I'm going to, like, go to the gym more and actually work on that aspect of myself. Like, things like that. And by the end of 2022, I was like, fuck, I'm actually kind of happy right now. That doesn't happen very often. And I think I kind of like this. And the vibe of 2023 was like, okay, bucko, you're doing okay. Let's see how, like, there's a line from Ratatouille that I think about probably every few months or so. Incredible film, highly quotable film. But the line that lives in my head rent-free the most is after Remy has, like, a big fight with Linguini. His narration is, I'd forgotten how fragile it all was. And that was like the vibe of 2023. We're just like, I'm doing really well and okay. Well, let's see how that holds up. Ooh, maybe not as great as I thought. And just like slowly but surely every few months, just getting broken down a bit more, a bit more, a bit more. It wasn't 2021, but it certainly wasn't a 2022 either. And I remember one of the last things I did in 2023 was I binge watched Ruby. Because it's a show that I've seen, that I like, but had fallen off because I was like, wait, there's like 9 seasons? The last one I watched was season 5. Like, what have I missed? I missed a lot. So, like, I binged the stuff I had already seen. I caught up on the stuff I hadn't seen yet. I made like a long tier list video. I made a video after every season, volume, but like after every season. If I remember correctly, I had done a tier list video. I don't remember if I finished it or if I was like, I'm going to take a break, and then realized there was no sound, so I had to do it all again, and I was so frustrated, so exhausted. And to keep it short, Ruby is something, like, Ruby would not be sniffing my, like, as a whole, would not be sniffing my top 10, like, favorite works of fiction list. My top 50 list, I'm gonna err on the side of saying no, but thanks for playing. But maybe, because there's some aspects I really like, there's some seasons I really like. But season 9 by itself, there's a maybe for that, for both lists. Because volume 9, sometimes I say volume, sometimes I say season, but volume 9 is something that really lingered with me. It was something that hit me in a very personal way. And there's a moment from the season finale, which, again, like, kind of like with Love Love, I won't go super deep into all the context and the spoilers, but Ruby is having a conversation with a blacksmith, and they're talking about, like, different weapons and, like, what a weapon can represent, and, like, what does it mean if I choose my own weapon? Like, I'm not trying to have it be, like, I'm not trying to change it. I'm not trying to replace it. What happens if I choose me? And the blacksmith says to her, well, then maybe that girl is enough. And that was something that, I won't lie, really kept me going in 2024. Especially in the early part, because early 2024 was bad. Like, it was awful, it was stressful, there was just a lot of, like, just emotional shit going on, because, like, now I'm unemployed, because I've been laid off. I guess it was it was more that I was furloughed, technically, because it was like, okay, well, we don't have anything for you now, but we will later, so, like, here's some, there's, like, if you take the bar again, you pass that, maybe there's other stuff we can do, blah, blah, blah. It's like, there's a plan, and there's stuff to work toward. But while I'm in the midst, while I'm in the trenches, ugh. But it was something I kind of kept thinking, like, whenever I was starting to get really low or really frustrated, that maybe you are enough. That doesn't necessarily mean there aren't things that I can work on or work toward. But it doesn't mean that I'm broken. It doesn't mean that I'm a failure. It doesn't mean that I should just give up. Because I am enough. And it was something I really needed. And I remember particularly the early part of 2024 there were 3 pieces of media that kind of defined the vibe of that year. One of them was not Friendship is Magic, although I rewatched Friendship is Magic in the early part of 2024, and that is one of my favorite shows. That's one of those things, like, that's gotta be on my list of, like, top 10 favorite things ever. Right? Like, I don't know if I could think of enough things that would kick off, like, would remove Friendship is Magic from the list. I'm like, that's gotta be in at least the top 5, right? Like, given how many times, like, I've watched that show and, like, all just the weird emotional connections I have to Friendship is Magic. Like, no, because of, like, knowing this show, I met this person who's, like, a great friend, like, stuff like that. But, sorry, getting sidetracked. The 3 things were Zom 100, which is a show about someone, about being in a zombie apocalypse and saying, because I worked a dead-end job that was so terrible, like, I felt like I was a zombie and I was not really alive, and even though the world around me is destroyed, I want to make the best of the life that I still have. Number 2 was Freerun. Season 2 is about to start. I don't know when. I know it's January. I don't know if there's a specific date. So I'll have to check that soon, but I'm very excited for season 2. But about Freerun, which is a show all about mortality and the fleeting nature of human life through the eyes of an immortal. And her realizing the connections that she had far too late. And it's beautiful, and I love it. And also, playing Persona 3 Reload, because 3 Load is fundamentally a story about death and loss and grief, and how that affects people, how that transforms people, and how you really don't know how much time you have left. So you kind of got to make the most of it while you can. And I felt like 2024 was a year where I really tried to do that. Was, like, I'm going to do this, like, I'm going to really invest in myself. By preparing for, jumping through all the hoops I have to take the bar exam, making sure I study and I beat this thing, and I did. I kicked its ass. Like, all the writing that I did, and all the, like, really, like, honing in, locking in, and doing a lot of editing to make sure, like, okay, what here genuinely doesn't work? How do I fix it? And trying to do that. And, like, not to say I didn't rest, but I really tried to lock in. And I liked that a lot. So then what was the vibe of 2025? For me, it was about the fundamental... I was about to give an answer, and I'm still going to give it here in a second, but I think there's another answer I need to give first. The vibe of 2025 is about my own authenticity. It is about the fundamental difference between I'm going to shrink myself because I don't feel worthy enough to be heard, or I'm too scared of what someone will say if they hear me, versus I'm going to stay silent because I want someone else to be heard. Because there is a big difference. Because I've realized, and it's less that I like, oh wow, I had this epiphany. It's something I've kind of always known, is I do a lot of masking in my life, even on this channel. Like, there's definitely some things where I'm like, that's kind of something I would like to talk about, but then I just, like, don't. Okay, so, like, here's one example. Like, when Amazing Digital Circus episode 7 happened. Wait, yeah, it was episode 7. That was the most recent one. It's the one where I said, like, I didn't particularly like it. And I've rewatched it. And, like, I've talked to some friends about it who really like it. And, yeah, I still don't really like the episode. And I thought to myself, like, I want to make a video where I just, like, sit and I talk about it and I kind of talk through it. It's like, yeah, like, here's the things that did work. Here's what I think about it. But here's why, for me, it didn't. And I'm gonna be honest, I was really, really close to just not making that video. It's like, it's a really popular show. There's a non-zero chance that if I just, like, sit in my car and talk for however long I'm gonna talk, it was like 55 minutes, because of course it was. Who knows how long this is gonna be? But, like, if I do that, there is a chance that people are just gonna give me shit for it. I'm just gonna get harassed for having an opinion that might be really different from other people, because I'm not gonna be mean to it, because I don't want to be mean to it. I have no intention of being like, this show's dog shit, these creators don't know what they're doing, because I genuinely don't think that's the case. It's just, yeah, I like this show, but this didn't work because ABC, XYZ. But I was like, no one's gonna watch it, and then if they do, I'm probably gonna get a lot of shit for what I'm gonna say. But I did it anyways. And I think it was like that day it got like 4 views, or I'm like, hey, that's maybe slightly better than average for my channel. Like, I don't know. I don't tend to get a lot of, like, traffic here. And then by the end of the week, it was like 400 views, like 30 likes, like 10 comments, which for me is numbers. Like, that is crazy. And it was all, like, really positive. Like, huh? Well, that never happens. Like, I really like that. I appreciate that. Like, thank you. And, like, a sentiment that I had seen a few times, like, in, like, the reactions to it was just, like, the authenticity was appreciated. And I've seen that even, like, throughout the year in other videos that I've made. I think some of them were like, I don't know if I'm going to make this, but I'm going to do it. And it's just so nice, And just with stuff throughout the year, like going on my business trips, which sucked and I hated, and, like, other things. Like, I guess I'll put it like this. In a lot of my relationships this year, with my family, with my friends, my professional relationships, there have been moments where I have thought, I'm not going to speak my mind, because I don't think, like, genuinely, I don't think it's the right time. I don't think it's the right place. You're like, Professor Oak's words right in your ear. There's a time and place to ride your bike, but not here on the ocean, kind of shit. But there are a lot of times where I didn't, because I didn't think it was worth me being heard. And when I was in those situations, things got worse. Or I guess to say, things didn't get better. That's more the better way of saying it. Because if you don't speak up, things aren't going to change. If you don't do anything about it, things aren't going to change. And I've been trying to get away from that a bit more recently. Excuse me. Like I was talking about it earlier. It's like when my friends are going to go bowling, I'm like, I will, like, be around you guys because I want to hang out with my friends, but I don't want to pay money to do an activity that I don't want to do. But if I can sit in my corner and do a thing I want to do and just also like talk to you guys while I'm doing it, that's lovely. That sounds amazing. Or like I was also saying, like last night, there were times where I'm like, okay, I'm just going to slip out, lay down for a bit, just relax, like recharge my battery. Okay, like I don't really care if anyone like thinks it's weird because it's what I gotta do, man. Now that I'm recharged, I can go interact for a bit. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go for a walk because, guys, like I'm getting, it's like 11:30 and I'm getting tired. I need some air, and I think like doing, even if it's not a whole lot, it's gonna be a huge walk, just a little bit of physical activity and a little bit of cold air, it's gonna wake me up for a bit. And it did, and just in various ways, trying to be better about that, about articulating my wants, my needs, my boundaries. And also, I guess in a way, just trying to take that mask off. And he's like, look, you guys are my friends and you like me. And I really appreciate that. So I'm just gonna be more comfortable. Now, that doesn't mean like, well, I'm gonna stop like performing a bit. I'm just gonna be like, I don't care what you think, so I'm gonna be a dick. Because I don't want to do that. And also because, like, just fundamentally, I am a kind man. I don't want to, like, toot my own horn because I know there are people who are much kinder than me. There are people who are far more patient than me. Like, they're more giving than me, but I'm not trying to compare. It's just, I know that kindness is a lot rarer than it should be. And it's something that, like, I still want to give. But I don't want to lose myself to it, you know? And that's kind of exactly what I mean. It's if those situations where I'm like, you know, I'm not going to say anything because I don't deserve to be heard or I don't think it's worth being heard. I want to avoid that. But there is a difference between doing that and saying, I could be heard right now, but I'll tell you what, I'm not going to say anything because I want you to be heard. Like, I'm going to, like, genuinely, like, make a compromise or a, like, good faith, well-meaning sacrifice rather than a, sure, I'll let you kind of walk all over me and just take it. And I think for me, I guess my New Year's resolution is to just try to find the golden ratio of that and to be able to discern, like, is this a situation where just kind of not the time and place to say what I want to say or need to say, but I will and I'm going to? Or is this a situation where I'm just not saying anything and I need to fix that? Another thing in 2025 is, sorry, I think something itching. I was like, is there a bug on me? I don't know. I didn't feel anything. I guess I felt something. I felt like me slapping myself, but I didn't feel like a bug, like on my finger. Anyways, sorry, I got distracted. But another thing for me throughout 2025 is I started to genuinely wonder if I might be autistic. Because last year, because I'll say this, there was a good few years, a really good few years, where, like, I think I have depression, but I don't want to talk to a doctor about it, because what if I don't? Like, what if, because there's people who actually, like, have depression, have been diagnosed with depression. What if I'm just, like, I don't know, kind of sad, I guess, and it's not, like, a big thing? Then, I don't know, like, I'll just feel, like, I feel like I'm doing, I don't know how I want to articulate that, but you might kind of know what I mean. It's like, I don't want to have, ugh, why are words so ding dang hard? I guess it's less that I'm afraid that there is something like chemically wrong, and it was more of, I'm afraid that there is absolutely nothing wrong, and I have just been overreacting to things. That it's 100% on me, that it's 100% all in my head. So maybe it's better not to know. Then I attempted suicide. And like, okay, I should talk to a doctor about this. Like, yeah, I have depression and anxiety. Something I always knew, but didn't want to know just in case I didn't. And then I had a similar cycle with ADD, where I'm like, I think I do. There's some symptoms that I definitely feel like I have. I think it would explain a lot. But what if I don't? What if I'm just making connections that aren't there, and it's just like a waste of time, and it's a waste of money to go to the doctor and bring all of this up, and I'm just like trying to be part of like the ADD club and blah blah blah, even though like it's something I'm genuinely wondering about. And I like went to a doctor, and he was like, okay, like you should probably go to like more like a mental health specialist, because that's a bit more in their wheelhouse. And I did, and I was like, okay, so yeah, I actually do. I've been diagnosed with this stuff. And then had a conversation with my mom where she's like, oh yeah, like that was something that we'd like found out years ago, but I didn't want to put you on the medication, so like I didn't. I'm like, oh, that would have been nice to know 30 odd years ago. And so now, like throughout the year, I was in a similar thing with autism. Because again, like I don't want to self-diagnose. But I'm also like, because I have talked to some people about it, like friends and family. And the thing you hear a lot, at least that I've heard this a lot, and I have heard people who are autistic have had similar situations where they'll talk to someone about that, and they'll try to confide and essentially be told like, well, you're not autistic. You can't be autistic. It's like, okay, but like everyone's a little autistic. Like, well, if you are, then I have to be. But I mean, like, it's a spectrum. So like maybe, but maybe not. Like, who knows? Blah, blah, blah. Or like, well, if you are, like, you've got to be high functioning. Like, blah, blah, blah. It's like that. That's a lot of stuff that I have heard. And like, I've heard that other people have similar experiences. And it just kind of reinforces that of like, well, I am just self-diagnosing. It's not a real thing. Maybe it is just like, yeah, a lot of people want to be autistic or blah, blah, blah. And like, I don't know. Like, there was this weird behavior I had when I was a kid, where when I would get really worked up, it was mostly like while watching TV, where I'd be like, I would be watching a show, like, I have this like specific memory of watching Kenan and Kel, because I watched a lot of Kenan and Kel. I don't know if it was an episode, or if it was like a special or a movie or something. It's probably happened a lot. But where like when things would get like really intense, or like very emotionally intense, or it's like, oh, this is like a cringe situation, or like there's a lot of shit, I would stand up and I would start swinging my arms, and I would swing them like really fast, like a really big sweeping motion. And it like helped. Like it was just something I would do. I guess when I was like overstimulated, and it would help. but it was weird, and I was told how weird it was, so I didn't do it. And another behavior I remember, like, later in life, it's like, that was when I was a kid, so this was more like a few years later, like teenager, like very early teens, like tweenish years, where in those kinds of situations, I would just start laughing. And I'm like, I know that this is not funny. Like, this is not I think this situation is funny, so I'm laughing. It was I feel really weird and awkward, or like a little threatened. So this is just how I'm responding. And now when I'm in those situations, because laughing is weird, so I just like do this. I'll like maybe do this with my fingers, or I'll just kind of like move them in place, like back and forth. And it helps. Like, it really does. And through like trying to do some research, I was like, oh, so that's a thing called stimming, and is like actually an autism thing. And like I was talking earlier about masking, because that's something I have done throughout my entire life. And I didn't know that that was a thing. Honestly, I think it was when I was watching the rehearsal. Because like I have a friend who is autistic, and like I've actually like talked to her about that and asked her questions about that, like about her experience and just kind of what that's like what is like as genuinely trying to be as like politely as possible. It's like, so like what is like your experience with that? Like how does that affect you? Like, what are the struggles? What are some of the symptoms? And part of that is like, yeah, like I genuinely want to know my friend better, and like what can I do to maybe avoid those like triggers and issues. But also because I'm like really curious for myself as well. And like she told me some things, and I remember watching season 48 of Survivor, where there is Eva, who was an autistic contestant, who was very open about that. And there were definitely some things that she said and she shared that I'm like, that I relate to that. Like, that's familiar. Like, I remember the one moment that really stuck out with me was during like an immunity challenge. I might remember war challenge, but it was during a challenge where there was something she was really struggling with, and just seeing how like it affected her. And I think she referred to it as like kind of like a meltdown or a breakdown. I'm like, oh no, I've definitely experienced that. That's very, very familiar. And watching Nathan Fielder, like watching the rehearsal, particularly season 2, where there is this like recurring element and theme of this is something like this idea of like rehearsing a situation is something that, people with autism do. And I'm like, because I do that a lot, especially if it's a situation where I'm like, I have to talk about something that makes me really uncomfortable for whatever reason. So I will like repeat, like I will like rehearse it and repeat it, and like that repetition makes me feel like more comfortable and stuff like that. And I'm like, that's familiar. And so I did like make an appointment. Like I did some research, like how can I actually get tested as an adult? Because I know you can. And I had found someone that like would do it. We made an appointment and we had an intake, and then we had like the exam was scheduled. And then they got back to me and were like, hey, so remember when you gave us your insurance and we gave you a quote for how much this was going to cost? I'm like, yeah, it was something that was super affordable, because I was scared about how much this would cost, but like, I'm excited that I can do this. Like, yeah, so we ran your insurance again, and we were just kind of wrong with how we interpreted it. They're really not gonna pay any of this, so what we thought was gonna be about $150 is gonna be like $800. So, do you still want to have your appointment? Like, no, that's a huge difference. That is definitely not something I could afford right now, so guess I'm just not gonna know or find out. That's fun. That's really fucking disappointing, actually. So that's where that is. But it's, it was a big thing that happened this year, so I thought I should bring it up. $2025 wasn't a good year. But I'd be lying if I said it was a... No, I don't think I'd be lying if I said it was a bad year, because I feel like it was, but I think that's doing it a disservice because it was an important year. Because it was a year where I really learned about... I feel like I learned more about myself. And it's a year where... How do I want to say this? I really started questioning where, like, a lot of my doubts and my fears are rooted, and saying, that's stupid, you're okay, and that being true, which, kind of leads to some of the, trying to be better about with, my boundaries and, unmasking and stuff. It's a year where I self-published a book, and that, hasn't sold a lot, but I did it, and it's something I'm really happy with, because it's a fucking good book, and the reviews that I've gotten so far have echoed that. It's a fucking good book, and I want to be better about sharing that kind of stuff. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to just be a walking advertisement, because I watch, a lot of YouTube, and I don't have, YouTube Regs. I'm I don't really want to pay for this, because most ads I can skip in 5 seconds anyways. But there are some videos where I'm I can watch this, and then there's an ad break or two, and it's fine. Here's the one at the start, here's one in the middle, and then whatever, and then it's fine. And there's others where I'm there is an ad, it feels every 2 minutes, and this is an hour-long video, and this is driving me insane. This is unwatchable. And it just bothers me if I'm on anything, YouTube, Twitter, using, there's places where you're gonna find ads, but they're getting to a point where it's really obnoxious. And that's me being nice about it. And I don't want to just be hey guys, have you read my book? Hey guys, all I'm gonna post about is the fact that you should buy my book. But I also want to advertise and remind people that, yeah, I did, and I really like it, and I got some cool art commissioned of a character from it. Here they are. This is super neat. And if you're interested, go read the book. And if you're not interested, that's fine. That's valid. But this art is still really cool. Because I have a lot of commissions. And some of it is just here's... I guess there's almost 3 categories of commissions that I have. It's number 1, here is just characters from stuff that I'm writing, Or it's like, this is something like I'm going to write later. It's like, it's a project, and then there's, kind of putting a timeout on to work on other stuff. But it's like, basically, like, here is stuff from this project, and maybe I should share that, because this is a project that is ongoing, but for like Orichalcum and Ayla, because maybe someone looking at that would go, huh, that looks kind of neat. I want to check this out, and they might love it. I should do that more. Then there's here are the commissions, because these are assets for the visual novel, because I've talked about that, but I don't think I've shared any of them. And maybe I should, because it would get people interested in the VN. So when it hopefully inevitably comes out, there could already be some excitement for it. Like, maybe a little bit of a built-in audience with like some kind of hype. It's like, oh yeah, like I heard some of the music from this, or I saw some of the art, and I want to check this out when it comes out. And the third category is just like Susan. I don't know how much I really talked about Susan before. So Susan is my OC. And I have a lot of OCs, because like I write. Like, I have a lot of original characters. But a few years ago, I think it was like I think it was around like February of 2019. No, excuse me. Wait, was it 20? Yeah, it was 2019. I specifically remember this was around when Piranha Plants came out for Smash Ultimate. Because I think Smash Ultimate dropped in 2018, and then Plant was the first released DLC character, which was like around February. So this was maybe like late 2017, like late 18, early 19. But I was watching Watamote, which is such an entertaining show. Like, I loved it. And I love Tomoko, just this absolute gremlin weirdo. And I thought, this character is so funny and so entertaining. Like, I want to write a character like this, and I want to put them in Ayla, because I was working on that at the time. Like, it was under a different name, and things were a bit different. Like, I want to just have her here as just a recurring fun character. And the inspirations for her character were Tomoko, Susie from Little Witch Academia, and like Suyu from My Hero. And it was specifically just like, I want to have this like weird gremlin character, and Susie has that very like goth kind of weird, but I don't really care what you think of me energy. But when it came to Suyu, it was mostly just like the like weird frog posture. like there wasn't anything really from her personality that made it over. It was just like the long black hair and the posture. And I think the original name I gave her was Susuko, which was a combination of like Suyu, Susie, and Tomoko. And somehow it just ended up becoming Susan. And around that time, Clay had started a D&D campaign. And he like really wanted me to play and like finally get into 5e. And I was like, all right, like fine, I will do it. And when it came to making a character, I'm like, I don't know what to do, because I've never done this before. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I play Incineroar in Smash Ultimate. Maybe I'll just make like a big Incineroar dude. And Clay was essentially telling me, he's like, no, like, I don't want you to just like take a character that you know and play that character. You should play like something like make someone and be more original with them. Like, okay, I mean, I have a lot of like book characters that I have made. Like, maybe I should just do that. And he basically was like, no, like, I want you to do something more just like unique to this, to really try to get into the feel of making a character for this and playing them. Like, well, there is this like Susan character that I've come up with like around this time. Maybe I'll do this. So for the next like several months, I was Susan. because that's how she talks. She just has this like, hey, Steven. And it's just so fun to me being this dumb. Like, Susan's whole thing is she loves 3 things: bread, spiders, and the color yellow. And I think the inspiration for that specifically was like, okay, spiders, so she has something like really creepy that she loves. Yellow, because, I don't know, like there's something about the color yellow where I feel like it can be something really pretty and really pleasant. But there's also these shades of yellow where I'm like, this just looks like kind of gross. And I think I had also read the yellow wallpaper around that time, you know, someone going absolutely nuts, like being surrounded by this, and there's other interpretations of what that could represent. So I went with the color yellow, and I don't even remember why I just made her obsessed with eating bread. She just is. It's just her thing. So this was my character. And being that character in D&D for so long, and how, like, broken she was. Because she was, like, really powerful. And my favorite thing is her charisma was, like, so insanely high. Like, I think I started with an 18 in charisma. Because of, like, my rules and just, like, the class I had picked. See, not my class, because I don't think classes give you bonuses for that. But I was a sorcerer, so a charisma caster, because, of course, a charisma caster. And I think, what was my race? It was, like, Asimar, Kalishtar, I don't remember which gives you, like, a +1 or a +2 in charisma. So, like, she was really freaking strong off the bat. So the way it was essentially flavored, it was less like, oh yeah, you know, she has this high charisma because she's really likable or she's really suave. It's more just like she's so, like, she's so, like, stupid and just, like, so weird that people kind of feel bad for her and just, like, give her what she wants. And it was just, like, so funny to me. And then you get into combat where, you know, like, I think literally the way this, like, the first session started, we were, like, you know, people who had met on a job, and we were, we were escorting a caravan, carrying supplies, and, like, carrying flour. And I think literally the first thing I do as Susan is she is sitting in the back of the caravan, just eating flour out of the bag. Like, it's not even bread yet, and she's just eating it. And then when she gets called out with, like, the flour on her fingers, she just, like, draws a smiley face on her cheek with flour. And I was like, this is such a perfect introduction for this weirdo. It's great. So I had so much fun being Susan that she just kind of started showing up in a lot of other stuff. It's like, oh yeah, here's a story I'm writing, and you know, she kind of fits really well into this scenario. So here you go. Like, here's this story's version of her. And now in this story, it's like, well, here's this version story of her. It's like, well, now we have Orichalcum, who's just kind of become my island of misfit toys, where there's characters from a lot of other different places. Well, it'd be a crime to not have a Susan in here. So here she is, and this is how she fits into the story and its lore. Like, oh, this is actually really interesting. But stuff like that. My point is, I have a lot of Susan commissions. Because to me, this is like my mascot character. Because she's just in everything. I have a crap ton of art of her, and I just think she's fun. And it's almost like any time I show someone this character, like, here's who she is, here's art of her, like, oh my goodness, she's so adorable. It's like, this is so fun. And it just makes me happy. So something I think I want to do is share a lot of the art that I have. Like, here is art of this character from this story. If it's available, here's where you can read it. Or, like, this is something I'm not working on at the moment, but this is kind of what it's about and what the vibe is, and I'm excited to do it when I get around to it. Or here's some assets from the visual novel. It is still in progress, but, like, we're getting there, and blah, blah, blah. Or it's, here's Susan. Here's, like, a couple Susans. Blah, blah, blah. And, of course, like, credit to the artist anytime. Like, I want to include that because that's really important to me. But that's something I want to do more of. It is the new year, which means I have to do tier lists. And I'm excited to, but also when it comes to albums, like, I don't really want to do a tier list video. Excuse me. Specifically because I think I finished the albums I wanted to listen to before the end of, it was May or June. Because I think I did it either while playing Metaphor or, like, right after finishing Metaphor. So there's been a whole ass, like, half a year where I just haven't done any of that. And albums, unfortunately, are just something that don't stick with me a whole lot anyways, unless I've listened to them several times, and here I just didn't do that. So, like, if I'm making a tier list of all the Esperanza Spalding albums that I listened to, because I listened to all of her albums, I remember really liking her music and was very glad I finally took the time to listen to her albums. But I also could not tell you what songs were on one album, what songs were on another, and I probably could not tell you the name of any of her songs. But I know I liked them. Which to me means there is literally 0 point in me doing a tier list on them. Especially, like, because I think I had mentioned this last year, was if I do an album or, like, I listen to an artist and all their albums, I should do a tier list when I'm done with it. Because now the albums are fresh. I will remember the songs better. I will remember the vibes better. I listened to all of the Cure albums earlier this year, and I really liked them. Now I'm like, I could not tell you, like, the difference between Pornography and Faith. Because I think those were 2 of the first 4. Because I think, what was the first album? I don't remember. Because I think it was like, here was the first album, and then it was 17 Seconds, which I remember really liking. So I remember it had kind of like a different vibe. And then I think it was Faith and Pornography, which I really liked both of, but I could not tell you the difference between the 2 of them right now. And so I'm like, I think for albums, and I know what I was saying earlier, I think this kind of gets to what I was saying at the start of this. There is that one part of me that's like, I feel like this is not me saying I don't deserve to be heard, so I'm not going to talk about it, and more of me saying this was not the time and place because too much time has passed. So I just don't think I'm gonna, because I genuinely, it's like, I don't think it would be worth it, but not for the reason of, like, my opinion isn't worth hearing, and just more of, I literally have nothing to say at this point. Like, I'm sorry, y'all. Like, I listened to all of Michael Jackson's albums, and the first, like, 3 or 4, because I don't remember what number Off the Wall is. I think it's 5, because I think there were 4 before Off the Wall. I was like, yeah, I liked those first 3 to 4. I don't remember the difference between them. Like, I remember liking them. One of them has Rockin' Robin, and I fuck with Rockin' Robin. That's a fun song. But I don't really remember the others. But I remember Thriller. I remember Bad. There's an argument to be made about which is the better album. I kind of actually want to say, like, I like Bad more overall. Because I think that is the one that has Smooth Criminal, which is my favorite Michael Jackson song. But there is a 3-track list at one point, I don't remember the exact order, of, like, Beat It, Billie Jean, and Thriller, which is probably one of the best, like, 3-track runs any album has ever had. Just back to back to back. That's crazy. Like, I listened to Linkin Park, And I feel like I could probably talk about Linkin Park, but a lot of that is because I've listened to Hybrid Theory a lot over the course of my life. And Meteora, and Minutes to Midnight. So that's not just, oh yeah, I listened to that and then whatever. Like, no, I know these three super well. And then here's everything after, and here's like the difference between them. But even then, like, Hybrid Theory and Meteora are similar, but there are some differences, and this is how Minutes to Midnight feels different from that. Like, I could do something like that, but like, I could not tell you about the Queens of the Stone Age albums. I listened to all of them. I wouldn't know what the fuck to say. I remember songs for the deaf I liked and thought it was like cool and neat. I don't remember shit from, what was it called? Like Era Vulgaris? Like, I think I liked it, but like, And then, I don't remember what the album was called. It was called like Times New Roman, or no, I think it was like Clockwork, because I think there's one called Villains, one called like Life in Times New Roman, and like Clockwork. But it's the one that has the Vampire of Time and Memory, which might be my favorite song I listened to this year. Especially because this was like April, I think. I listened to it at a time where I was not doing well this year. And it like really, really hit me hard. I do not mind talking about that, but I could not make a tier list of their albums. But when it comes to the movies I watched, absolutely. The games I watched, absolutely. Shows I watched, some might be a little weird because there's some where I'm like I watched a few episodes of the first season of Scrubs with my sister, and then I just never put it on again. But like, I liked them fine. I wouldn't be opposed to watching more Scrubs. I kind of didn't. So when it comes to things like that I like kind of started but never, we'll figure that out as we go. But genuinely, especially talking through it, I'm like, yeah, I don't think an album tier list is something I'm going to do. But I might at some point, these were all the albums I listened to this year. But I'm sorry, with just the way I listen to music and kind of go through albums, I could not tell you a lot about each specific one. My bad. That is something I will probably try to be better about in 2026, which, I think I had said in 2025, so we'll see how that goes. I don't know, like, over the past few years, I've, like, done a couple song covers, and that's been really fun. But it's also something that I just feel really weird about and really, really awkward about. I'm like, tickling Susan there for a second. It's like, I don't know if I want to do that, but I know I really want to. And it's something I want to do more of. We'll just see if I make good on that. Oh, I haven't even, talked about my week. I guess I'll keep it short. It's already been over an hour. The Saints won again. We've won 4 straight, and I think this is, us winning 4 straight for the first time since we had Breeze as our quarterback. Look, I had said it, I don't know if I had said this here after the draft. I know I had said it, out loud, but I was like, dude, I have never heard of Tyler Shough. Who is this dude? Why did we use a pick here? I thought we had maybe something in Rattler that we could build around. If he's the guy, go do it. But really, Shedeur was right there, and I don't watch a lot of college, but it seems like Shedeur is that dude. So why didn't we do that? I don't know. I hope he's good. I hope this pans out, but what was that throw at the combine? That's the only thing I know about Tyler Shough. But now that, he's been starting, and he's been playing. I've been able to, like, watch some of his plays. FO was show. Like, it's one way I saw it spelled, but it's like the way it's like IFOUGH with SHOUGH. Like, oh my gosh, that's so good. That is so good. Like, I want that on a shirt. And like I was like on a Saints Twitter thread. And I was just like, yeah, like, how would you rate Shuck's performance in this game? And someone, like, had a gif of just, like, oyster shucking. I'm like, oh, my goodness. That, like, I'm saving this. This is what I'm going to use whenever I'm just, like, you know that, like, Drake, May. Like, yeah, this is Tyler, Shuck. Just the oyster shucking gif. Like, let's go. Because this is what I was talking about when I said... I think I've said this several times. I don't have hope for the season, but I want to have hope for other seasons going forward. And I feel like I kind of have that right now. Like, this is why I will never advocate for tanking. Let me take that back. There might be some points where I'm like a suck for luck situation. Like, maybe. But even then, like, here's why I don't like tanking. Because you have an opportunity to build chemistry, culture, and confidence. Where, yes, not all of these guys are going to be here next year. That's the way the NFL works. You're going to lose people in free agency. You're going to have to cut people because of who you draft, like, et cetera, et cetera. But you can still build a core and a foundation. You don't want to build a culture on losing to try to build. You find what you have and you build on that. And let them develop chemistry together and confidence as a unit. And, like, to see that locker room rocking together. It's like, you don't have this if you're like, man, why aren't we just losing games? And sure... Who have we beaten in our 4 straight games? Carolina and Tampa. So division games, which is huge. And that's something I had talked about is I want to see how we compete in the division. We're doing pretty well with that right now. Now, like, obviously we're, like, far out of playoff contention. We're like, okay, we can match up and beat teams in our division. That's good. And we've also beaten the Titans and the Jets. So, yeah, you beat 2 teams in probably the worst division in the league and 2 of the worst teams in the league. Like, good job. I'm like, look, man, 4 straight is 4 straight with 2 others. And again, like, also against Carolina and the Giants. So not exactly world beaters. But at the same time, I mean, Carolina beat the Rams. They beat the Packers, too. They definitely did not beat the Seahawks. But, like, they've beaten some good teams. And we beat them twice. I want to have those building blocks for the future. And sure, you'd be like, well, having a better pick is a building block for the future. Sure. Tell that to the Raiders when they took Jamarcus Russell. Or the Chargers when they took Ryan Leaf. Or, I don't want to shit on this guy. But, like, who was it that drafted Laquan Treadwell? It was either the Falcons or the Vikings. I think it was the Vikings. Where it's like, here was the guy who I think was supposed to be like the number 1 receiver in that draft. It did not pan out. What about when the Rams took Tavon Austin? Someone who had like an incredible highlight reel, but it just didn't work out. But he was the number 1 receiver taken in that draft. Or the Eagles, like, infamously taking Jalen Reagor, like, right before Justin Jefferson. My point is, you never know when someone who is going to pan out or not. That's why you have draft steals where you think if anyone knew how good Brady was going to be, he would have lasted until the 6th round, or Antonio Brown. No, you really don't. You can tank, you can be bad to get those high picks, and you wasted them on someone who just didn't work out. I would rather build something concrete that you can see and develop, that you can use to say, this is the vibe we have, this is the core we have, y'all want to come here and play for us. Then be like, no, yeah, we're going to be really bad, we're going to just try to lose, and hopefully this dude in college that I think is really good is still going to be really good when he gets here. But that's just me. I think I'm done with Stellar Blade. Like, I've beaten the main game. I've done a lot of New Game Plus. But the main thing I wanted to do was, like, boss mode stuff. I have beaten most bosses in the game on hard mode. The only exceptions are the unidentified Naytiba, which I think I kind of talked about it last week. I don't really want to go over it again here. But I'm like, look, I had a run where I feel like I had that fight won. But because the game actually started chugging, I was not able to get to the boss fast enough for my retribution damage, and then I lost. I genuinely feel like I got robbed by the game's performance, so I'm not doing that again. Either of the final bosses, because I'm like, look, man, I just don't want to. I kind of don't care enough to try to learn these on hard. And man is a really cool fight. I think that is a fun fight. And there is that part of me that's like, I want to do this on hard. I really want to learn this fight to do this on hard. But I also just want to say, like, I'm good. Let me do other shit. Because I did beat Raven on hard, and I beat Scarlet on hard. And that was fun. And that was hard. And that took a lot. So I feel like I'm good. I don't know what I'm going to play next. Because I've been talking about it. It's like, I got like a list. And now that it's the new year, I can really sit down and make my list. But, and I could definitely, like, I'm not even gonna lie, I could definitely see myself booting up Stellar Blade to, like, mess around with some of these fights. If there's another DLC, because, like, I didn't buy the Automata DLC, because my understanding is that it's just cosmetics. And as much as, like, that could be fun, it's like, I did the Nikkei thing because I wanted to do the, like, I wanted to fight the super boss. Also, like, actually doing the Nikkei levels, I'm like, this is weird. This is different. Like, I think I kind of liked this, but I don't know if I like it enough to get another gacha game. But one thing I've heard is that, like, despite what you... how do I want to say this? Nikkei has a reputation for the exact reasons you think it might. But I think I've also heard that the story's, like, really good. It's like, yeah, despite being a game that's known for just, like, big boobs and big booty, this has, like, a really, like, intense and gut-wrenching narrative. And I'm like, I kind of really want to play that. But also, don't know if I really want to do, like, another gacha game. It's like, I didn't even play Faygo last year. I kind of missed it. So I don't know, because Nikkei's, like, a lot. But if it's really good, like, maybe I should. Like, I don't know. But, like, if Stellar Blade gets another DLC with, like, another boss, because I think Stellar Blade 2 is supposed to be confirmed in development. I'm like, yeah, I'm excited to play this shit again because the game's really, really good and really, really fun. I'm like, man, if there's, like, a Final Fantasy VII crossover with, like, a boss fight against Tifa and then, like, a Tifa skin, that would be dope as hell. And so, like, and you just have Tifa running around, like, punching all your perfect parry. Like, that sounds dope as hell. So I think the point I was trying to make is I will probably be done with playing Stellar Blade. I will maybe boot it up every now and then because the game is genuinely fun. if there is another DLC that comes out that adds a boss, I will probably pick it up and play it and try to learn and beat that boss on hard. Excuse me. Aside from that, do I really have anything else to really say? I mean, I talked about like trying to want to post art more. I talked about my year, blah, 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 blah. Didn't really say much else about football, but yeah. Basically, there are 3 divisions still up for grabs. The AFC North, because it's been just kind of like a weird year. The NFC South, because you have 2 teams that are not that good, but are good enough to be in contention. And the Falcons can't win, but can still make things fun and interesting, but I hope they don't, because that would mean they beat the Saints, and yeah, I just don't want that to ever happen. And the NFC West, because, wow, this was the best division in football this year, and it is coming down to the end. And, like, Bears 49ers was a wild, incredible game, and I'm glad I got to watch it. But, that's it. I say after damn near an hour and a half. If you watched this, he was just, like, on the second screen. Because I do that with a lot of videos I really enjoy, too. Like, thank you. I really do appreciate it. Like I said at the top, I hope 2026 is a kinder year to all of us. And regardless of the quality of your 2025, I hope this year is better. So, I think I'll see you.